Hello, everyone. I just wanted to say a few words about your last requirements for this course after the last reading from Buckley. All we have to do this week is you have to do your final exam, which would be the same thing as the midterm, an oral exam. You have to sign up beforehand, uh, and you have to turn in your final essay for the course by Sunday, August 6th. So we have all this week to concentrate on those things, especially the writing of the essay. The readings are done after the second Buckley reading from God and Man at Yale. So you have the whole week to devote to thinking about and writing your final essay. So let's talk about these two things. The oral exam, the final oral exam, will be exactly like the midterm exam, a 15 to 20-minute conversation between you and me. But let me just say this: I really enjoyed meeting you all and talking to you all about the books. I really did. And I think that I learned a lot from reading about or talking to you about what we read. The final exam will be a little bit more rigorous. That is, I will ask more pointed questions about what we read, and I will be a little bit more demanding, a little bit more exacting in terms of what you can say. So, which is just to say, you should really have read all of the books. You should have a something to say about all of the books, and it should be based upon actual your reading of the books. It's just like the midterm, but I will expect a little more in a final exam than in a midterm. I think that when I graded you all on your midterms, that everyone got the full 5 points, and I felt very comfortable doing that. But I doubt that I'll do that again for the final. I think that I will be more critical of what people are able to demonstrate in terms of their knowledge of the text. So all I'm saying is that when you go into that final exam, the oral exam, you should feel comfortable with all of those texts. You should read them over. This is a real class, and you are being examined. That's what an exam is, on your knowledge of the texts. So you should know what you're talking about. Now, the final essay, if you look at the assignment here, a final essay of about 4 pages, which is about 1,000 words, will be required at the end of the course. In it, you will need to develop an idea of your own. Okay, so that's important. There is no prompt. Um, you have to come up with an idea of your own, and that idea says is in comparing any two of the books we will have read. So that's the only structure of it. That is that it should in some way compare what we have read, at least two books, or any two books, excuse me, of what we have read. That can be any combination of books. I can think of many things to write about off the top of my head, and that shouldn't be surprising. I got to choose many of the books, or at least two of the books, so I already have my ideas about them. It would be quite interesting to compare Fanon and William Buckley, if that's possible. I don't know how I'd start, but certainly I could think of two more different thinkers. It would be also quite interesting to compare Michael Gold's Jews of the Money with Gloria Anzaldua's Borderlands, both being, to some extent, books about where you came from, your culture, your childhood. Although, of course, Anzaldua is doing kind of more than that. It would be interesting to compare Confucius with any of the books we've read. If you can find, because Confucius obviously has many different ideas in there, general ideas. I'm sure that, and some of them would definitely be relevant to looking at another one of the books. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I'm sure that that would happen. So there's any number of combinations in comparing any two of the books that you could use, and I think that, but you have to have your own idea. There's two components here. You're sort of comparing two of the books, but you need to develop an idea of your own. It can't just it's not just a book report, right? where you talk about one book and then you talk about another book. You have to compare them with some idea in mind. What would that be? I don't know, the idea of what I don't know what it's like to live in a culture that is oppressed and its effects on the way you think. Perhaps would be a starting point in comparing Borderlands and Jews Without Money. Um, I don't know. I mean, what my idea would be about, say, comparing Buckley and Fanon, I don't know. I have to think about it, but I'd have to come up with an idea, and you have to come up with an idea. That is, it's not a book report. It's not just sort of telling me what's in the books. It's looking at the books through the framework, through the lens of an idea that you have about how they may relate or not relate, or something, some idea to apply to both of them. Finally, what is most important? Don't cheat. Your final essay has to be written by you. And we live in a situation where it'd be quite easy for you to just feed some instructions into chatbot and come up with something. It wouldn't be a good essay that would be done by the AI, but it would be something that would maybe look like an essay. That's cheating, and that's grounds for failure of the course. And we're at the end of the thing here. I have to get my grades in, so there's not a lot of time for communication. If you cheat, if I determine that your final essay is plagiarized, and believe me, having an AI write it for you is plagiarism and cheating. There's nothing I can do but give you an F. I don't want to do that. I really don't want to do that, but I am forced to do it if I'm handed something plagiarized. So the most important thing about the final essay is not to cheat, not to copy it from another source, and definitely not have an AI write it for you. That will be failure. You will fail if that happens. That is the only way that you'll fail the essay. That is, if you write a credible essay that is actually you trying to write about these books, I will not give you an F for the essay grade. But if it's plagiarized, if it's written by an AI, I have no choice but to give you an F for that. So don't do it. It's not in your best interest, and you just have to avoid that. So just to be clear, the most important thing in terms of the essay assignment is not to cheat. After that, there are, obstacles to be overcome. You got to write an essay, but at least you're not going to be a cheater, which is what people are who cheat, and you're not going to get an F for the assignment, which you definitely will if you use an AI. So if you have any questions about any of this, please feel free to contact me.